Sound check. Is the sound okay? Can you hear me clearly enough? Yes, okay. So welcome in, everybody, by the way. Then lie back on the mat into semi-supine position. So just grounding and centering. Those two words for the arrival of the yoga class, grounding and centering. Grounding, centering, and perhaps connecting as well. Connecting to the immediacy of your experience, the body and the mind. Becoming aware of the body, the superficial level of the body, the skin, sensations on the skin. And I'd like you just to travel down from the head to the feet, just picking up through your awareness the sensations on the surface of the body, from the head to the feet. Just skimming down, not spending too much time and too much detail on this, but just noticing all the different sensations present to the surface of the body, the clothes on the skin, pressure on the skin. Heat and cold. And when you arrive at the feet, we're going to sink down beneath the surface of the skin to the flesh. So this is the muscle tissue, connective tissue, tendons, ligaments. And we're going to sweep up from the feet through the legs, through the pelvis, through the trunk, through this deeper layer of the body. As you come up through the trunk, aware of the viscera, aware of the organs, everything beneath the diaphragm, and then everything above the diaphragm. And then going through the arms and the back of the body as well. Through the neck, to the head, to the crown of the head. And just resting on the crown of the head for a moment, for 5 breaths. Full awareness, as much as you can muster at the moment. So we know that takes time, sometimes to connect again. Now from the top of the head, I'd like you to sink all the way down to the bone. So connecting to the bone of the cranium, the facial bones, and beginning to float down the body at the level of the bone. Through the neck, through the spine, through the shoulder girdle, through the ribs. Connecting with the depth, the inside part of the body, the innermost structure, all the way down through the spine, through the arm bones, hand bones, finger bones. Through the pelvis, big structural bones at the center of the body. Through the legs, to the knees, down to the feet, and then into the toes. And from the base of the feet, going to broaden our awareness out through the whole body. So this time, just becoming aware of the body in the best way that it seems for you to connect with the body. So that can be more physical, the density and shape of the body. It can be more energetic, or it can be the breath body. So you can become aware more of the breath body. So whatever it takes to help you just to anchor into your experience through the body, be it more energetic and subtle or more dense. Bringing your attention through the whole body and connecting to the breath. Okay, and we're going to enliven the breath now. So we're going to start to work with the breath a little bit more actively. And I'd like to encourage you for the moment to just maintain a little bit of tonicity in the abdominal wall. Okay, so as you're breathing in, rather than blowing the belly out completely through diaphragmatic breath, just maintain a little bit of tone so that you lift the breath more up into the chest area and the ribs. You'll notice you'll float the ribs out and the chest will lift a bit more. Yeah. I'm going to do that for a cycle of 8 more breaths. We're just maintaining the tone on the in-breath, at the end of the in-breath, keeping the breath smooth and steady, as always, even. And feeling that breadth of expansion through the lower ribs, out through to the small of the back even. So you're actually enhancing here something of the axial extension of the spine. Yeah, so when you engage the abdominal muscles in this way, you create more of a pull on the diaphragmatic ligaments of the spine, stretching the lumbar spine gently. Yeah. A couple more breaths like that. And now from here, we're going to float the right leg up to the vertical and take the hands behind the back of the thigh. So you can place the hands behind the back of, just above the knee, onto the ligaments. And a few times letting the knee double and then extending it straight again to the vertical with the breath, breathing, and as you extend the leg up, exhaling, lowering the leg down. Okay. So you can keep your shoulders pretty much on the floor, shoulder blades. And we're just going to pay attention for the time being to this really basic element of yoga practice, which is the combining of the breath to the movement. So we'll build this up through the practice this evening. And the next time you extend the leg, keeping the leg to the vertical, you're going to slide your hands perhaps a bit further along the leg, just under the knee, onto the calf, and then bring the opposite leg to the horizontal plane. Okay, it's reaching out through the left leg on the floor. On your next exhale, you're going to lift the head slowly. So you're engaging the front of the body here, not using the arms, lifting and looking. And on the out breath, you float the body back down, unveiling the spine. With the next out breath, in breath, out breath, lifting again the trunk. And down. So the intention here is to engage the front of the body much more than using the arms to pull up. Okay, so you exhale, engage the front of the body. And the arms just guide you in that movement. Okay. Once again, inhale, exhale, drawing the body forwards. And back. Okay. Next time we exhale and lift, we're going to remain in the posture for 5 breaths. And you might then want to play with lifting the leg off the floor slightly, the left leg, you might not. But either way, put some energy into the legs, okay? So you're really rooting down through the pelvis and the back, but lifting and extending through the legs. And release, unfolding back onto the floor, floating back, taking your right foot to the floor. Bring your left leg to the vertical, just switch straight to the other side, okay? Interlocking the hands behind the back of the knee. Again, doubling the knee. On the in-breath, extending the leg to the vertical. Your shoulders and the back are rooted to the floor. And you're really conscious of the way that the dynamic of the breath influences the movements in the body. Yeah. Okay, next time we bring the leg to the vertical, keep the leg in the vertical, a bit more energy moving through the leg. So think of this as coming out of the pelvis, right? So you're initiating the energy out of the pelvis, through the leg to the foot, and the opposite leg to the horizontal, extending the same amount of energy through that leg, okay? Your next out breath, lifting the trunk. In breath, again, floating back onto the floor. In breath, lifting up. Out breath, floating back. In breath, floating back. Out breath, lifting and exhaling. Next time we do this, we're going to maintain holding the position. And then floating back, keeping the spine right down on the floor, taking the legs into semi-supine position again. Now, closing the space a little bit more between the feet. So think of coming into the midline of the body. So you can focus or imagine this, the sense of the coming into the midline, closing into the center of the body. From there, you're going to extend your arms out to the height of the shoulders, come into a simple reclining twist, keeping the knees together and floating the knees to the right side. So really ground the upper spine, round the upper spine, round the shoulders. And then you should really be able to just roll your head easily to the left side, looking towards the fingers out to the horizon and beyond. Yeah. And looking out towards the left. On your next in-breath, you're going to bring your legs all the way over to the center and then out from the right to the left side, turning the head to the right side. One smooth movement. And again, on the next in-breath, bringing the legs up to the center midline, exhaling, rolling to the right side, looking to the left. And once again, in-breath to the center. As we exhale, we lower the legs to the left side, looking to the right side, along the arm to the fingertips and beyond, or just to the fingertips. Yeah. So using the gaze such a way that it aids the posture. And now you're going to take just the right leg and let the right knee roll out to the right side, keeping the left leg, left knee where it is. You come into the sort of butterfly in a reclining position. Okay, we're going to extend the arms above the head and interlock the fingers, palms of the hands facing away from the top of the head, reaching out beyond the space of the head. Okay. Okay, so going to draw the lumbar spine down to the floor. And as we do that, at the same time, we're going to push the feet all the way forward so that we straighten the legs out and bring the hands behind the back of the head. So I'd like you to just place the hands behind the back of the head, elbows wide out towards the floor. Okay. keeping the lumbar spine descending down. So you might just have to lift your pelvis and tuck your pelvis back around a little bit. And then what we're going to do is walk the feet out. So walk the feet out towards the right side, small steps from the heels. Okay. Far as you can. And then as if trying to take the right elbow towards the right ankle. Lateral bend through the trunk. Keep extending gently through the legs so that you're not just relaxing the legs completely here. Gazing to the sky. Then come into relationship with the breath through the left side of the body. So there's something I like to do here is emphasize breathing more through the ribs on the left side. So you're expanding the whole left side of the body effectively, giving complete range of breath clearance through the left side. So the diaphragm is activated more on one side. And then we might not, but we might want to lift up the left foot and just cross it over. So the left foot sits on top of the right ankle. Intensifies the pose just a little bit more. In some cases, not always. If that's too much or it doesn't feel right in the hip, then just stay as you were. Yeah. And then sliding the trunk back to the center. So we came into that modification a little bit late in the pose. Sorry about that. Bring your feet back to the center and then walk your feet out to the other side. Small steps all the way out as far as you can go. And then left elbow towards the left ankle, sliding the trunk. And then again, engage with your breathing through the right side of the body. So this movement of the breath is restricted and aided by the movement of the body. So you've got more space for the diaphragm on the right side this time. Intercostals. And what you're doing here is you're stretching through the iliopsoas of this side as well as the lumbar, as well as the diaphragm. Attachments in the diaphragm. And if you wish, you can lift and cross right foot over the left. That seems to add anything to the pose. And then we slide the trunk back to center and bring the legs back very consciously, deliberately, mindfully. Come back to the center and just let your right hip, right side of your hip raise up and your left side go down, and then change that to the other side. Left hip lifting up, right hip going down. And get a sense of your hips being balanced again in the center. Okay. Body in line. You bring the hands down and lift up the feet, one and then the other. Take the feet from the inside. And then ground the pelvis. So before doing any lifting and extending of the legs, make sure you've really got this sense of clarity of grounding the pelvis, not lifting the lumbar. And as you begin to lift and open the space between the feet and lift the legs, you'll notice that this activates the spine, okay? Especially if you're just engaging the abdominal area as we've been doing on the out in breath. So just maintain that tone on the in breath. And then you're going to extend the legs gradually if you can. to straight. You might not be able to do that. And then make the feet wider. So just explore the possibility of going as wide as you can. And then turning the legs outward gently. So a slight outward rotation of the legs. Keep the awareness of this breathing mechanism so that you're engaging the abdominal muscles just a little bit on the in-breath at the end. Shoulders back, keeping the face, neck, and tongue rested. Eyes soft in the body. So if you manage to rotate your legs outward to an extent, you'll notice this in the inner part of the leg, right? From the groin to the knee. Okay, closing the space between the legs, bending the knees. So you flex the knees a little bit. We're going to bring our left foot directly onto, or the left ankle directly on top of the right knee. Okay, so thread the needle. Place your hands around the front of the shin, right side, and draw the leg in gently, smoothly to the trunk. Again, just watch the positioning of your shoulders, drawing the shoulders back, down, depressing the shoulder blades gently. And then release that leg to the floor, change over. So the right foot comes on, or right ankle, better still, onto the left knee. Lift up again, interlace the fingers. Shoulders back and shoulder blades depressing. So we probably should find that the second side we do, and in a bilateral pose like this, we notice it's a bit tighter. Yeah. Obviously, because we just had time to release the opposite side. So you should notice this side feels different initially. And release. Put to the floor, undo the bind, and then I'd like you to going to roll to the right side. I'm going to come around onto all fours. Yeah, actually, we're going to change our position so that we're turning onto the mat. So we've got our knees on the mat long ways. Okay. And we're going to bring the feet in towards each other. So you probably have the big toes just meeting. Yeah, okay. And a few times, so I tend to bring the hands further forwards than the shoulders. You're going to sit back, bringing the coccyx down and back towards the heels. Okay, and then come back up again. As you come up, try not to sink the spine down too much. A little bit is okay, but try not to over-arch the lumbar. Draw back again. As far as you can draw back, okay, as long as it's okay with the feet. Come forwards again. lowering yourself down a bit further. So you're lowering the pelvis down a bit further this time. I know you are arching the spine a bit more. Draw back again, all the way. Come forwards again, a bit further still. Lowering the pelvis down, bending the elbows as you come down, okay? So keep the gaze forwards towards the horizon. And then we draw back again. This time all the way down. And as we draw the pelvis back, we're going to lower the trunk towards the floor, okay? That feels okay. So it might be a bit much to sink the weight of the pelvis down to this extent. If it is, then just come up a bit higher. Yeah. Otherwise, you can just play with your height, but look for a sense of demand to the limit in the area of the groins. But obviously, if it's painful, then back out. Yeah. So we're just staying here for another 4 breaths. It's not exactly a yin pose we're doing here. And then come up. And we're going to bring the knees in just slightly. So just gather your knees in, but keep the toes touching. And then we're going to lie down on the front of the body, keeping the elbows close into the side of the body. Okay. And from there, you can choose to lift the feet or not. You can keep the feet grounded or you can keep the feet lifted. But the main thing is to keep the pelvis down. So the pelvic and the abdominal area down on the floor. And then, in some cases, pressing the feet to the floor is just too much for the hips. Grounding the pelvis. Okay, hands placed by your chest and elbows tucked in. I'm going to press all the way back up again with the arms. Keeping the feet together. Take the knees a bit wider and come back again onto the forearms, looking forwards. Okay. And then inhaling, coming up. And, just going to close the space between the knees and change our positioning. So we're going to come round onto the long edge of the mat again. So connecting to the breath from the base of all fours, on the next in-breath, you're going to extend back your left leg, reach out with your right arm, and as you exhale, sweeping the knee under, you're just going to hook your arm under the leg loosely, okay? And then as you breathe in again, extend the leg back and extend the arm forwards, lifting a bit higher. Really use the spine and its range of motion here. So we want flexion, extension of the spine as we reach forwards with the arm and the leg, yeah? The next time you get a hold of the leg, hug the leg and hold the position. And reach out once again on the in-breath. Yeah, and change to the other side. Yeah, reaching out, hugging the knee, chin into the knee. And the next time you take hold of the knee, hold the position. Okay. We're going to tuck our toes under, we're going to lift the pelvis, grounding the hands, moving into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. You're going to roll the weight towards the small finger side of the hand, but keep the thumb grounded. A little bit of rotation on the forearms from the elbows. Broad across the shoulders. And then you're going to walk your feet in a bit more than you perhaps usually would. So you bend the knees. And you're going to lift your pelvis as high as you possibly can. So if need be, you come right into the tips of the toes. And engage the legs really firmly. Yeah. You're going to walk in a little bit further still, bringing the feet towards the hands, again, bending the knees. And then again, we're going to see if we can shoot up the energy through the pelvis, straightening the legs. And then we're going to walk the feet back to a more traditional position. So walking back to where you would normally place your feet and hands. Okay, keep that sense of lifting in the pelvis. Release the heels towards the floor so that you lengthen the backs of the legs. Keep rolling the weight towards the small side of the finger, small finger side of the hand. Lengthening the neck. So connecting with the space between the abdomen and the pubic bone. Yeah, on the in-breath, we're going to see if we can maintain that tone through the abdomen again. And then lifting the pelvis, looking forwards, you're going to step your right foot forwards about 3/4 of the length of your mat. Okay. And we're going to bring the back heel down onto the floor. So we turn the back heel down after we've stepped the foot forwards in this version. Okay. Lengthening the spine, just re-clarifying the length in the spine. Pressing through your front foot, come up on an in-breath. And we're going to come into the warrior, but from the inverted goalpost position, okay? So body facing forwards, trunk facing forwards, pelvis facing forwards. So grounding your back leg well, through the back foot, through the outside edge of the back foot if you can, without making any unnecessary pain to the hip and the groin. And see if you can find or explore the possibility of just opening the space a bit more between the feet to lower the pelvis down a bit more. If that doesn't come easily to the joints, then don't do that. Reach up to the sky. Palms looking in towards each other, gazing forwards or gazing up. And get a sense of openness in the joints. So openness and spaciousness in the joints, grounding the feet, but lifting from the feet through the body, through the legs, upwards to the sky. Okay, sweeping the weight forwards, taking the hands down, keeping your attention in the back leg. Okay, you're going to turn your back foot forwards again and step your front foot back. Coming back to downward facing dog again. I'm going to ask you to just repeat that little sequence where you walk the feet in more than you normally would do. Ground the hands and lift really well the pelvis as high as you can go. So you're projecting the tip of your coccyx up and up, come onto the tips of the toes even. Okay, and then soften the knees to walk forwards a bit more if you can. So you might just take 1 or 2 steps, 3 or 4 steps forwards more. Same thing again, bend the knees and lift the pelvis and then push up onto the toes. You may or may not straighten the legs. So we're trying to encourage ourselves here to keep the spine lengthening as much as possible. Yeah.
You're lifting the coccyx. And now walk your feet back to what seems more like a traditional position for your posture. Yeah. Grounding again, grounding the feet, keeping the pelvis, the energy of the pelvis lifting, heels lowering, legs lengthening, grounding the hands, lengthening the neck. Become aware of that space between your navel and your pubic bone. And then we're going to look forwards and step and lift and step our left foot forwards, about 3/4 of the way, turning the right heel in and down, grounding the back foot. Next in breath coming up, one smooth movement, goalpost position. Good. And then feel free to just experiment, or if you've got a preference, to take the stance wider. Okay. And then just experiment with that, noticing what goes on in the hips in relation to that adaptation. Does it make the pose feel stronger and more stable, or does it make you feel a little bit more vulnerable? Yeah. And then lifting the arms, raising up, looking up. And then floating your arms down, hands on the floor, spine long, grounding the hands once again, turning your back foot forwards and stepping back. Just coming more to a classical downward facing dog setup. First of all, let me change my position. Okay, from here, you're going to bring our right knee forwards between the hands. So sliding your right knee all the way forwards, one movement. Okay. Making adjustments you need to make with the back leg in terms of walking the back foot back slightly to lengthen the leg. Try to keep your pelvis balanced laterally, so you're not lifting right side or left side more. Okay. And then explore this experience now from the point of view of keeping plenty of space in the lumbar sacral area. Okay. So as we move into the pose, we don't want to feel that we're suddenly loading a big task on the lumbar spine here. So keep a sense of grounding through the legs. Okay. Sometimes pushing the pelvis down doesn't help. So use the hands to keep the pelvis at a certain height. And then from there, you're going to lift the heart center from the kidneys. Look into the horizon. Okay. Chest drawing forwards. Shoulder blades moving back. So you're grounding down, aware of the ground, and you're aware of moving out of the ground through the pose again. And then keeping the spine nice and long, we're going to sweep forwards, float forwards, taking the forearms down, or just taking the arms forwards and bringing the head down as you like. Okay. So you're floating down, putting the weight down through the legs. Try not to tilt the pelvis to one side or the other if you can help it. So try and keep the pelvis balanced through the back of the pelvis. There's a sense of lengthening out on the floor, really yielding to the floor through the pelvis, at the same time maintaining the sense of lengthening through the spine. Okay, walking your hands back in and using the hands that press you up to come back into the initial position with the hands a bit further back this time. So we're going to lift away, push away from the floor, lifting the pelvis away from the floor slightly. Okay. And we may or may not be able to now place the right hand in front and reach back and take hold of the ankle of the left foot. So left hand reaching back to take the left foot. But, if that just doesn't, if it feels awkward, just too demanding for the hip, then just stay in the primary position. Orientation of the trunk forwards as much as possible. Look into the horizon. Good. Okay, and release. Okay, both hands down in front of you. You're going to tuck your back toe under and come back to downward facing dog. From there again, you're going to walk the feet in a few steps. Once again, lifting powerfully, lifting the pelvis onto the toes, lifting up, grounding the hands. You should sort of look for a sense of lightness in the movement of lifting. Bending the knees and walking just a little bit further in still, 2 or 3 steps on both sides, small steps, and lifting once again. Seeing if you can lengthen the legs, if there's that possibility of keeping the spine long, even better. And then walking the legs back, placing the feet in a more traditional position, downward facing dog, lowering the heels, keeping the pelvis lifted. Okay, looking forwards, bringing the left knee in between the hands. One smooth movement. Then adjusting your back foot if you need to, lengthening back out. Hands grounding, lifting away from the floor gently, opening the heart center, looking to the horizon. So get a feel of the whole body participating in the pose. And then come back to connect to the breath. So okay, now we're going to walk our hands forwards, extending out on the floor. That seems possible. Again, looking for a sense of balance in the pelvis as you come down. Okay. And now placing the hands on the floor in such a way that you bring the spine up. So you're floating up from the ground, bringing the hands a bit further back. So the heart center is moving forwards, arching the spine gently. And then you might want to place the left hand again in the center and reach back with your right hand, take the right angle. See how that feels. Notice how it affects the body. Some parts of the body get really affected strongly by this, especially the patellar ligaments and the rectus femoris muscle of the thigh. People that are a bit more practiced can double up, taking the back foot. I forgot to mention that in the last one, but it's quite demanding on the leg on the ground. So this is enough. Gently pushing the foot into the hand so that you get a bit more of an opening in the heart, grounding the pelvis, gazing to the horizon. Soft face, eyes soft in the head, tongue soft in the mouth. Okay, and release. So we're going to come back again one last time to downward facing dog. So just take your time to move out of this into downward facing dog, just a more classical version of the dog this time. Okay, and I'd like to ask you to sit down and bring your legs in front of you. Okay, so we'll start off in a sort of semi-Bodhiyoga-69 with the knees bent but with the feet wide. First of all, just re-clarifying the length in the spine. And then lengthening out one leg and then the other leg, doesn't matter which side you start on. Once you've got the leg lengthened out, just lifting one side of the hip and then the other side of the hip. You might do that 3 times on each side. So lifting the hip independently, one side and the other side. If that even seems possible. There should be a certain maneuverability independently, left and right side. Okay, and then we get up, we're going to come back again slightly. So rather than going full out, think about coming sub-maximal. So about 90% of your capacity. Okay. And then engage the legs. So really put the energy through the legs towards the feet. Going to lift up the spine and then turn towards the right leg. So the heart looking towards the knee. Let's say. So the heart's orienting itself. The intention is to go towards the knee. On the next in-breath, raising the left arm. One smooth movement. And on the out breath, you're going to extend forwards from the pelvis and reach out, place the hand on the floor, or take the inner edge of the foot if that feels like it's okay, proportionally. Yeah. And then just really clarify a little bit the rotation of the spine again. So once you've got the hand on the floor or the hand on the foot, you can then find a little bit more lift, a bit more rotation of the trunk. Keep your awareness in the opposite hip. So you're grounding that hip as much as you can. And then if you want with a breath, you can begin to extend forwards. Okay, it's up to you how far you come into this. You might not want to do that. You might feel this is enough. And then you can, of course, place both hands down and just work from there as well. So going subtly, listening to your body. Looking for the sense of stretch, but not too much stretch. Use the breath in pose, stay in the pose. And on the in-breath, we're going to come all the way up. One in-breath, lifting up, spine long. Right arm comes up, left hand goes down. And we're going to extend out to the other side, moving straight into the other side. No hesitation. Just coming in. Hand on the ground, hand on the foot. Re-clarify the lengthening and rotation of the trunk. A couple of times. And then if you want, you're free to deepen into the pose as much as you want. Just stay where you are. Awareness in the opposite leg, awareness in grounding the opposite hip. Inhale, one smooth movement up. This time we're going to use this base as a position to twist from. So we're going to reach around with the right hand, catching hold of whatever we can catch hold of. Bit of clothing, it's good. Okay. Just re-clarifying once again with the next in-breath, the lengthening of the spine. And then you might or might not want to take the left hand around to the right leg. Okay, that's the way I tend to do this pose. You can place it where you like, really. It's up to you. And then 4 or 5 times, let's just say 5 times, it's easier. With the breath, we're going to rotate on the exhalation a bit further if we can. Okay? So exploring the possibility of the out breath lending itself to being able to rotate a bit more into the pose. Awareness of the legs, extending through your legs energetically. So this keeps the base of the pose clear, firm. And then to the other side. So as we inhale, we extend up the opposite leg, wrap it around, take the hand around, catch hold of the right leg, right bit of clothing. 5 times, with 5 exhalations, see if we can enter the pose a little bit more. 5 in-breaths, perhaps we can lengthen the spine a bit more on the in-breath. Exhale into the twist. And back to center. So I'm going to ask you to go to a wall now. It's radical, isn't it? Go to a wall and preferably take a block with you if you've got a block. If you haven't got a block, perhaps a thin cushion will do. We've done this before, right? This is not a new thing. But I thought this would be quite a nice way to it's like the penultimate posture in the sequence, quite a nice way to begin to slow the practice down at the end. So, find the wall. Maybe take your mat with you. I can't go all the way back because I'll disappear. I'll disappear from the microphone. I'll disappear from sight. So you want to bring your feet together. You know the setup. So bring your feet together and bring your heels in, nice and close towards the groins. Okay. So you're doing that version, are you, Mark? Doing it another way around. Okay. Oh, I thought you were going to do something different. Let the knees open from there, which you can do. It's another way of doing it, but. Okay, so the wall just aids us. It stops us collapsing back, gives us a little bit of help and a lift through the spine. Yeah. And then you can use a belt. I'm not advocating using belts tonight, but you can use a belt.
Otherwise, bringing the hands underneath the feet. Pressing the feet in together gently tends to give a little bit more space in the hips. Okay, so just work with the breathing here. So it's more just like a sitting. It's more of a yin pose, but a little bit more active than the yin pose, perhaps, because we're pushing the knees gently down here. Yeah. Lifting up the spine, keeping the heart center open, the gaze towards the horizon, or the face, the apparatus of the senses in the head, soft, open, tongue relaxed. And let your body be the focus of your awareness, but also turn the light on internally as well. So bring into your awareness, observe the field of your experience. We're always practicing with a body and a mind, just that sometimes the mind seems to, our attention of the mind recedes into the background as we focus on the body. So for the duration, time sitting here, let the mind be aware, present, clearly knowing what's going on, clearly knowing the sensations in the body. Breathing in and breathing out with an awareness of ourselves as we find ourselves. So just letting into your experience the field of what's going on. Notice it, acknowledge it, let it be. And as you're ready, please feel free to come out. I'm going to suggest we come into Shavasana anyway in the next minute or so. Just take your time and set yourself up comfortably lying down. I think what I will do is just lead a sort of partial Shavasana, okay? Does that seem like a good idea? I'll lead you into a Shavasana and I'll just let you be there, okay? Yeah, thumbs up, okay. So yeah, take your time to set yourself up comfortably. Just going to remove a funnel web spider from my, not far from my yoga mat, so just bear with me. Okay. Body yielding to the floor. So I'd like you to give up your weight of your body. As much as possible, letting go of extraneous holding on in the body. So just checking through the joints of the body, the hip, face, neck. Optimum position for letting go. And just letting go as much as you can. So we're just going to walk through the body a few times, just scanning from the crown of the head through the body, passing through the spine, the different chakras, all the way down to the feet. And from the base of the feet, traveling back up the body, through the legs, through the pelvis, back through the different chakra centers, all the way to the crown of the head. We're then going to encourage this quality that's really important for relaxation as much as it is meditation, which is tranquility. So just connecting with any sense at all, this quality of tranquility, where there's a sense of which you can let go. Nothing else to do for the next 10 minutes that you're going to be here for. So really enjoy that space that you rarely have to let go. Let the brain slow down, thought processes slow down and begin to fade into the background. No need to follow all of that. You can come back to it later. The heart center resting towards the ground, pelvis resting towards the ground. And a sense of the limbs becoming lighter and lighter. So the arms floating away from the shoulders and the legs floating away from the pelvis.